Learn podcast, hosted by Yulia and Ina, friends, colleagues, passionate teachers and learners. In this series of cozy talks with a cup of tea or coffee, we talk about how we live and learn, move countries, adapt to change and mentalities, encourage and teach. While polishing our own understanding of learnability, we find support in the 4 pillars of Live and Learn philosophy, which include growth mindset, expat life, language acquisition, and skills development. Join us, enjoy, live and learn. Well, last week we started a conversation about feedback. After a year of podcasting, we were so grateful for all the feedback we got from our listeners that we were excited to discuss what feedback actually is. We discussed various stages of communication: coding, decoding, reacting to messages, misunderstanding in the process. We also tried to reveal some neurophysiology behind reacting to feedback. As usual, we were digging into etymology of words related to feedback. So if that's your cup of tea, catch up with the previous episode. Have fun. One of the reasons why I rarely ask for feedback is exactly this. I only want to hear, I wouldn't even call it feedback, opinions of other people related to what I'm asking, and then I don't take this as feedback, but as an opinion, one of few that I value, and that's my way of getting opinions, information, whatever about what I'm doing or how I'm behaving. But in the corporate world, this is not the case. You can't choose. If there is a system elaborated for giving feedback, asking for feedback, and so on, that's absolutely another case and not applicable.
Another type of feedback is, which is more, as you say, applicable to educational needs, is to see if the learning occurred, right? So when we give a lecture, a training, a workshop, a webinar, any kind of the educational service, and then we ask for feedback. So how was it? This is another type of feedback. Yeah, so I'm not asking how do you treat me personally. I'm not asking for appraisal. Again, I'm not asking for if you received the information correctly, as the feedback in the communication sense, right? So I'm trying to see how efficient it was, where it can be applied. Can you see? Can you grasp what you learned, and so on? So basically, for education, the Kirkpatrick's model would be the most efficient here for University of Wisconsin's professor emeritus. So this model is designed somewhere in 60s, I think, the early 60s maybe. And this system is aimed at measuring the effectiveness of the training. And here we can try and think about feedback as sharing the effectiveness of the training, or in a higher level, the effectiveness of communication, or of the objectives proclaimed and objectives reached, right? So there might be kind of different ways of applying it and bringing it in, but this is what I normally finish my first or maybe second lecture with a new group, because the first lecture is much more about getting to know each other, building trust, building understanding what are the scope, what is the main goal, what is like who we are, what kind of talent do we have in team, in the new group, and so on. So it's not much more about giving the new piece of knowledge or new piece of collaboration or something like that, right? But the second class, I normally introduce everything that I need to give as an input, anything that the students need to collaborate, to come up, to learn, to have their wow effect of something that they learned. And then I formulate what I expect them to do for the next class, if that is appropriate. And then I normally leave at least 10-15 minutes and show the slide feedback time, and even 20 minutes sometimes. And then I try to hear what people are saying. Then it's like funny, long, quick, I don't know, some kind of the adjectives appear. Difficult, interesting, I don't know, anything like this. And then they stop, they don't know what to say. Okay, maybe they are students, maybe they are not to talk, they are not used to formulate how efficient it was for them. And then I just put the slide with the picture of Donald Kirkpatrick and try to show them that this is something that he invented 6 years ago and is still a working module. So reaction is only the first level of feedback. Reaction is just the basics of what is that. It's okay, it's normal to have reaction, so we normally need to see if that was positive or negative emotions prevailing. So like, did you like were you interested, were you engaged, I don't know, what is the overall reaction, what did you enjoy practice and collaboration, did you enjoy learning new, I don't know, facts, frameworks, strategies, did you enjoy discussing the case, and so on. I normally try to show how important it is to say about specific parts and specific details, not just I enjoyed it. Yeah, we spent like 3 hours together. What specifically? I appreciated the preparation, the pace, the structure, the case, and so on. When you show this to students, they normally are like shocked, oh, this is how much you expect us to tell. But in the same time, we are forming the awareness of learning experience. What is important to you? What is your preference? And when these opinions are spoken out in a group, then they realize that they have completely different things they appreciate. And some people need a quicker pace, some people need a slower pace. Sometimes it can be quite a revelatory experience that people in the same room have different needs from this point of view, like not theoretically, but hearing what they actually appreciated. And sometimes it can be conflicting one to another, and they see it like, what I can say is just thank you for feedback. I know that both of those options exist, or 3 or 5 or 10. Then learning, right? So we're here to learn. We're not here to entertain. Hopefully there is an element, but that's not the primary role. So what was the learning? What did you learn something? Did the lesson had valuable ideas that you came up with? Were you curious? As curiosity is the fundamental necessity for learning, right? What's your personal takeaway? What is something that you would appreciate more? Would you appreciate more theory? Would you appreciate more practice, more collaboration? Where would you need more time to dig in, to read more, to learn more, to listen to a couple of podcasts on this? Again, this can be quite new to students, even if they are, of the master level, or if they worked already. So they try to see how much is actually behind preparation of the class, conducting the class, making it happen together, and so on. It's not just like, I came in and this is what I do. At this point, I normally ask them as well to see how much of these answers reflect what I do and reflect what is their emotion. I formulate that the feedback is not towards what I did as a teacher. I don't ask you to appraise me or say, like, how well did I go? I'm asking you, how well did you go? How much did you learn? How much did you feel engaged? Did you feel curious? And this is kind of a very important idea for me in this structure, in this model, that I don't ask you to evaluate me doing this class, because most students start doing it. I'm asking you to evaluate how far did you go. Do you do that?
Is that where the model finishes?
No, there are 2 more layers, but I need a feedback from you.
Yeah, because when you started saying about what students are supposed to do, evaluating or coming up with what they've achieved, for me, it's not feedback. I wouldn't agree with this model here being feedback. It's not feedback. Feedback, as we said, is giving back information to the source of the initial message. That's it. So that's not feedback. That's working with the content, the work being done or having been done. That's not feedback to me. It's not the time probably to give feedback to what you're saying about this model, because some parts of it are not feedback.
Well, it is just a formulation of what how deep it can go and how much is to reveal about the training or the course or the class about it. And I will just briefly mention the 3rd and 4th levels, which are impact. What kind of impact did this training had on me? And what kind of result what I can start doing differently, changing, I don't know, applying skills and so on, would be there. Then the feedback is me sending the message as a course of trying to teach, to learn, to collaborate, to implement and apply something new. And then I try to hear how much of that, what I'm trying to implement, has been received, has been seen as valuable, and has been seen as being implemented or hypothetically being implemented, where it could be implemented, and what further step is necessary. Doing this kind of feedback, a couple of, so for example, if I have 8 classes, 3 hours each, something like this, or for example, 10 classes, 3 hours each, I would do this after the 2nd, maybe after the 5th, a very brief one, because everybody already knows the model, so just like, what do you appreciate here, 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 and here after 7, and quite a big debrief after the whole class, after the whole module or discipline or so on. Doing this consistently and with different scope of how far do you want to go. Like, I don't need a 30 minutes analysis, but I want them to be introduced in with the ideas behind it, was that there is a model, that there is and I normally say when you will be working with the other teammates, you will be given just like not a model of efficiency of a training, but a model of efficiency of the teamwork, and you will need to give the feedback as well. So, and again, it's not about the other people, it's about yourself. So feedback is about how did I receive this?
Yeah, again, I wouldn't agree here that it's feedback. That sounds to me as a takeaway, a personal takeaway of all the participants. So I would not include this into a model of feedback, because that's not, like, it is feedback if it affects the way you structure your lessons or your course. If it does, you can use people's takeaway or opinions as feedback. But by itself, what people say they found engaging, interesting, entertaining, useful, what their takeaways are, is information. And you can use it as feedback to improve or to change your course. but it's not feedback by itself to me. And according to Kirkpatrick, it is. Okay. Yeah, I wouldn't agree. I like the model. I wouldn't call it feedback model anyway, because a lot of parts of it are not feedback according to the notion of feedback that we have as a term, just for this reason, which does not make this sequence of actions less valuable. Just, I'm very stubborn and precise, using words in their exact meaning. That's why, when I hear something, okay, so this is a model of feedback, and then I hear a lot of parts that to me do not reflect the term of feedback, I would say, okay, it's a valuable model of something, of some information you can get during the course and after course. It's not less valuable because it does not use the word in its meaning that I know, but it's okay for me. And still, it's about takeaway more than about feedback for me. Then it depends how a person who asks for this sort of information uses this information later. My idea was that even if it's not feedback as I understand it as a term, it does not make the whole model less applicable or less valuable. Just I wouldn't call it a model of feedback, rather a model of giving information as for the course, which can be later used by the speaker, by the lecturer as feedback to improve the course, for example, if that's your aim. What I do, I remember you once asked me if I ask for feedback during the course, and I've been thinking about it. Really, I don't actually ask for feedback. I rather try to hear the needs of a student or of students, and I do ask about their needs, what they really want to do, what they need to have for themselves. And then I try to follow these needs. Then I don't need feedback because it arises anyway naturally, because when people have certain needs, consciously or subconsciously or unconsciously, they look satisfied or not. And if you are in sincere connection, openly communicating, you can follow this interest or curiosity or needs, and you clear these things up. So I check out on whether the needs are satisfied during the course. I wouldn't call it asking for feedback, and I don't use any of the models known to me to ask for feedback. But I change my course or my lessons according to the needs that come up during the course. And if we can call it feedback, then yes, but maybe according to a different definition that we would search for feedback.
So anyway, we started with the idea that the feedback is much appreciated. So the main idea is that feedback is only effective when it is asked, when you have a need for a feedback. Please don't try to run after a person and say, now I need to give you feedback. If this is not something that you were asked, that means that the person is not asking for it. The second thing is that the feedback should be given in the right moment, and then it's nice to ask if it's a good time to give you feedback, or if you're asked, you can say, okay, I'll think about it, how I can formulate it most productively, and then I will come and ask if this is a good time for feedback. The third idea is that feedback is not about formulating what and how you did, but how did I receive this? So what was my intake, my emotion, my reaction, how did it make me feel? So feedback is more of a receiver part according to the communication model. Was I able to decipher it? Was I able to see what is inside? Was I able to answer? And was I able to formulate it forward? One more thing here is, let's not combine the thing of feedback on communication, feedback on collaboration, and feedback on learning, because they are all different things and they are checking different things being received, and therefore try to see which model is best applicable if you want to formulate this. Feedback on a person can be seen as attack, so it's very important to be aware of it and try to make sure that you're making all the efforts possible not to attack people, and that there are different types of them. So the correcting, instructing, helping, structural, reflective, supportive. Yeah, so there is like different aims. Why? What is my aim to give to you? And the top cherry on the pie is that giving the feedback might be seen as hearing, seeing, and valuing what I do, what we do, what person who asks for feedback does. And therefore, if we ask for feedback, that means that we are ready and we appreciate it, and we are ready to learn from it, and we are ready to see where it works fine, what we can do more, what we can improve, where we can grow, and we're here to
live and learn.
Live and learn.
Thank you for listening to this episode. If you share Live and Learn philosophy, please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on all the major social media, comment, and spread the word about this podcast so that more people could get their weekly portion of growth mindset content. Live and learn.